your perfect keyboard? Well, I guess we'll find out if it is a perfect keyboard. There are things ever are. Hey y'all. I'm returning my M-Audio Hammer 88 Pro. If you might recall, I recently bought an M-Audio Hammer 88 Pro to use with a rack synth setup and also with some computer-based stuff as well. That would be mostly for recording, but I also use a rack rig for gigs and whatnot, and just have a good 88 key solid practice instrument, which, again, the keys really I've gotten used to them. I love them on here, but there's a problem. A very serious problem, speaking as a gigging musician, and that is that these keyboards apparently have an issue with notes hanging. So what I mean by notes hanging is, well, watch that. If I turn up volume on my mixer here and quit muting the channel, hear this? That lovely noise is called, the keyboard is either not sensing or not sending MIDI note off messages. So as a result, even though the keys physically, and I'll be playing and suddenly some of them will stick, and even, they physically come up, can't physically see anything wrong, but they are stuck, and the sensors are stuck, something, and so, and then also mine also will transpose. It will automatically trigger the octave shift buttons at times, just randomly when I'm playing, and of course that's not a good thing. But really the keybed issue is what I'm concerned about. So I called my sales guy over at Sweetwater, and I talked to their technical support people, and they decided that this was most likely an issue with just a defective unit or something. And so they were, they have awesome customer service. Those people, they shipped me one of these overnight, replacement unit. Got the other one packed up and shipped back this morning. Talk about service. I love those guys. Anyway, so no knock on them. They're awesome. But got the replacement Hammer 88 Pro this morning. Connected it up a few minutes ago after I was done with classes, and lo and behold, it hangs notes just as much, if not more than the other one. Within 5 minutes of turning this on, notes just started sticking again. It doesn't matter if I have sustain pedals connected, expression pedals, anything, if they're disconnected, doesn't matter what polarity, doesn't matter what sound module I'm using, doesn't matter what chords I'm using. If I go directly from the keyboard right to a module, no MIDI interface or router, still hangs. And so this is a problem with the keyboard itself. There's, and again, when I talked to Sweetwater, they said it sounded like it was a hardware problem with keybed or something, and so, we narrowed it down. It's not anything else in my setup. It is the Hammer 88 Pro. Now, what's that mean for me? Well, again, I bought this to be A, practice instrument, and B, a gigging instrument while I'm over here at college. And sadly, with this kind of a problem, it can be neither. That's just, you can't have notes hanging on you in a performance situation. You really can't have notes hanging on you when you're recording either. I mean, you can clean up MIDI data, but it's still a mess and sounds like crap. So I will be contacting Sweetwater again tomorrow when they're open, and this guy will be getting returned. And at that point, now that I've had 2 of them and they both have the same problem that makes them completely unusable, I'm done with this model. And I'm not sure whether I'm not really convinced that this is like a firmware issue or anything, especially after talking to the Sweetwater Tech people. Because, you can get this kind of issue with an older keybed or something where stuff gets in the contacts or electronics get old or whatever. But these are brand new units. And the other thing to note is that I was thinking, well, maybe there's a initial bad, few somewhere in the batch. Well, no. So the first one I got was it was carton number 88. I'm not sure what that Sweetwater designation or audio, but anyway, the second one, the replacement I got, is actually number 55. And so, those are good ways apart, and it still has the note hanging issue. So now I have to go out and try to find a different MIDI controller. And as I mentioned in my previous video, one of the reasons I chose this guy was that it has 9 faders, great for organ, and it has pads and nice hammer weighted action. And the most important other aspect is that it has your pitch and modulation controls right next to the keys instead of being up above. But as I also mentioned in that video, I am not a fan of the Fitar TP100 LR action, and to my understanding that is what is used in the Arturia Keylab 88 Mark II, as well as in the Complete Control S88. Not to mention that neither of those so the Complete Control has the pitch and mod in the placement that I like, but it doesn't have any other control. It doesn't have faders. It has some knobs. That's about it. And there were just some concerning reports about the keybed going out on that after a year or some people. Either way, that's TP100LR again. And the Arturia, of course, has, I think it'd be okay, except it has that same keybed and the pitch and mod are up above, but honestly, it looks like I'm going to end up going with something that has the pitch and modulation controls up above the keys after all. The other thing, another reason why I am now going to be returning this is that aside from the fact that it has these issues that make it unusable, it also can't do one of the things that I was almost certain it could, which is I wanted to be able to use these pads they can send program changes. Okay, that's stated in the manual, stated on the website. So you can send a program change. I tap one of these and it will send a MIDI. Basically, I can have it change sounds on my sound module by pressing different ones. Now, this is a 4-zone controller, so it has 4 different zones. They're separate, transmit different MIDI channels and whatnot, but you can't actually have these pads, or really any of these controls from what I can figure out, you can't have the pads send multiple MIDI program changes. Now what I mean by that is, let's say I have 3 sound modules set up, and I want to press a button and go, to the next song. And let's say all 3 of them need to have sounds changed to go to the next song. This keyboard cannot do that. So each pad is limited to either a single MIDI channel or be global, all MIDI channels, or it will work on one individual zone, which still equates to essentially, for most usages, 1 MIDI channel. So what that means is that if I have 3 sound modules and I want to change the sounds on all of them, I actually have to use 3 different pads to do that. They give you 16 pads here, and then you have a total of 8 user presets you can put in, but that's a lot of extra programming and fiddling around with stuff to try to do in a live situation, and honestly, that's just not that flexible, and you don't have that many places to store stuff. And I thought if it was 4 zones, the controllers would be able to send different messages in all 4 zones. M-Audio Hammer 88 Pro cannot do that. Don't buy one of these if you're trying to do that. Just don't. It can't do it. So that's the other thing that was kind of bugging me about it. But I was willing to try to work around that. And you can use like an app like KeyStage Camelot Pro on iOS, or I think you can use MainStage, Gig Performer, Cantable, something like that on PC or Mac as well. But of course, that's if you want to have an iPad or computer involved, and I am just not. The whole idea of me doing a rack setup was to try to not have to deal with carting around a $3,000 laptop with an audio interface, all those cabling, OS updates, all that fun stuff that can just screw up performance. I know some folks do, but they're usually specialized machines for that, and I just don't have the budget to have a separate MacBook Pro just for gigs. So, that, like I said, that was the other thing that was bugging me, but honestly, the notes sticking, just, that makes it unusable, and I've had 2 of these units now, and they both do the same exact thing, and it's random, it's intermittent, but they both do it. So that is why I am returning my M-Audio Hammer 88 Pro, and I will now be in search of some sort of other MIDI controller that will work. It looks like the only thing on the market, or it's not even on the market really anymore though, is the bad part about this, but there's the Viscount Physis K4EX. So the Viscount Physis K4EX is a big master controller keyboard, and the EX version has some physically modeled sounds built into it. And they came out, I think it was 2012, maybe 2013, somewhere around there. And they are incredibly powerful machines. They can do a lot. I've never played one, but they're highly recommended by people that I have spoken to in various forums, like the Music Player Network forums. But they were discontinued a couple years ago, and I talked to a gentleman yesterday, actually his dealer, and he called a Viscount, and apparently there just wasn't enough demand, and the cost of production was too high relative to the number of customers who were buying them, so they discontinued them. Now, what's that mean for me? Well, Tommen over in Germany, as of the time of making this video, has a few of them left in stock, and I've talked to them, and they do have a 3-year warranty that's global. So theoretically, I should, and I've ordered some from Tommen before. All my Canon products I've ordered from there, and just other stuff you can't really get here in the U.S. But the catch is always, warranties can be weird over international borders. A lot of companies won't honor a warranty in one country for an item that's purchased in another country. They'll only honor the warranty within the country that an item was originally purchased in. So we'll see on that one. But still, if the shop has a 3-year warranty of their own and they're an authorized repair center, I might just go that route, because I know for sure that keyboard can send, it's an 8-zone controller, and each control can send 8 individual 8 messages per control, so it's like 1 per zone. So that would do what I want, but I'm just really, really disappointed in M-Audio here and this, and maybe it's just a bad initial production run, maybe not, but for something that street price is $799 here in the United States, something that just plain doesn't work and hangs notes like that is unacceptable, and that's why I'm returning my M-Audio Hammer 88 Pro.